According to a new filing in federal court, the best evidence that the Trump administration has to prove that 137 men are part of Tren de Aragua, the narco-terrorist group in Venezuela that was the entire impetus for Donald Trump's takeover of the oil fields of Venezuela, his use of the Alien Enemies Act, the entirety of the evidence against them is what the American Civil Liberties Union calls patently absurd use of tattoos and clothing, hand gestures, symbols, logos, and graffiti, including things that are quote unquote close to laughable. I'm Michael Popak, bringing you up to date in a case pending before Chief Judge Boasberg, we call JGG. You're on the Midas Touch Network and on Legal AF. Let's get to the new developments in this case. Chief Jeb Boasberg is trying to hold this administration accountable since at least March. He's the judge that started the criminal contempt proceedings against the Trump administration. That's been blocked a couple of times by the D.C. Court of Appeals, the Circuit Court of Appeals. However, there's going to be a new hearing in that matter, and it could end up back with Jeb Boasberg to allow him to continue to pursue contempt proceedings, primarily against Kristi Noem, of all people, someone who's very, very close to being impeached, if not fired and or thrown under the bus by Donald Trump. In this particular case, these 137 men represent a class that were sent to El Salvador without due process in the middle of the night in violation of the court's order. Judge Boasberg ordered that these men, pursuant to Supreme Court precedent that was established just in the last year, ordered that they get, and they're entitled to, habeas corpus due process rights to get before a federal judge to argue the case that they are not members of Tren de Aragua and they should be allowed to stay in the United States. The United States, in order to bury their mistake of sending these men without due process over court order in contempt, then had them transferred at a prisoner exchange facilitated by El Salvador to where? Venezuela. Just before the quote-unquote war broke out, we're sending these people back to Venezuela, a country we're at war with. If you think that made sense. And along for the ride with the 137 people to try to get them away from federal court jurisdiction. But the American Civil Liberties Union, who collaborates with us here on Legal AF, they are keeping track of where their clients are. And they ran back into court, and the judge says, here's what I'm going to do. I am going to order that due process be given. I want to hear a plan from the United States. Submit a plan to me about how you plan on giving them due process. Remote hearings, Zoom hearings, flying them back to the United States, having it done in consular offices. Whatever your proposal is, I'm all ears. And then about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, they sent in a declaration, a sworn statement of testimony by Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, about a few days after the Venezuelan oil field takeover. And there was a whole bunch of, I know you told us you want us to provide you with a plan for due process, but there can be no plan. We have no plan. It's unstable there. Who destabilized it? It's very delicate negotiations.